Mike Supervici, and I'm the co-founder of Explorence, and this is our story. Starring myself as the chief hustler, Bill Gleim, the mad scientist who's known to tinker with self-driving vehicles as well as augmented reality gaming, Mark, the sorcerer, who does magic with mobile sensors, and Mickey, the artist who brings our work to life. Once upon a time, not long ago, I grew incredibly frustrated with my friends taking up video games instead of going outdoors. So I built this team to see if we can bring the video game outdoors. So we went ahead and built our very own outdoor video game. This is called Street Dash. With Street Dash, you participate in dashes. You basically dash for cash. So let's dive into it a little bit more. Now, there's two ways to create dashes. You can create dashes by recording them via your GPS, or you can go ahead and draw one. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and drop a start flag, go ahead and drop a finish flag, go ahead and save it. Oops. Choose the activity. Of course, it's inherently social, so you can share on Facebook and Twitter. And I think this is a pretty cool dash, so I'm going to go ahead and remember it with Evernote. So with just 3 taps, I created virtual content in the real world that people can physically interact with. So if my friend were to come back here and he happens to be in a neighborhood, all he would have to do is select the dash, walk over to the start line, and hit start. And he's off to the races. Now what the app is doing is that it is triggering events as he's moving around in his environment. So for example, right here, we just crossed the finish line, automatically an event got triggered, he won his coins, and that's the dash. Now notice these money bags here. What these are, they're auto-generated dashes. So there's always going to be content near the player no matter where you are. So the app is not only triggering events, but it's also regenerating the game grid based on your location. So now that we have all this fundamental technology, well, what else can we do with it? Well, the running of the bulls, of course. What if you could do the running of the bulls in your own hometown without having to worry about being trampled or gored by a bunch of crazy bulls? Or how about the Olympics? Yeah, take that, Usain Bolt. Because you see, in order to develop Street Dash, we had to build the fundamental technology to be able to provide for this sort of sensor-driven play. So we didn't just build a game, we developed a platform that has a variety of applications, from extending the traditional video games into the real world, to providing this technology to developers, to also Hollywood. How cool would it be to have a Harry Potter adventure right here in London? It's the same infrastructure, just a different story. And that's when we knew we were onto something big. Casual games turned out to be a $3.1 billion opportunity. Social games, $10.3 billion. We think outdoor video games is the next big opportunity. So today, we're launching Street Dash. Get the app, go outside, and do the LeWeb dash. The person who lays down the fastest time, by the end of the day tomorrow, is going to have their own very special avatar built into the game just for them. We're Explorence. We bring the video game outdoors. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Jose, let's start with you this time.
Well, again, this is a very interesting space to jump in. You know, gaming and the real life is something that we're putting together, so it's a lot of fun. I need to understand one thing. How long have you been working into this process, into this project, and how many times have you iterated? Because I see it a little bit complex still.
How many times have we iterated?
Yeah, how many times have you changed the concept itself?
Probably about 3 or 4 times, I guess. The challenge here is not necessarily the gameplay in itself. It's more the actual interaction with sensors in the real world. It's not as simple as building something in an emulator. You know, you have to literally go outside with a laptop and figure out how these sensors react as the player is moving around. So it's taken good 9 months of constant iteration just to get the product to this point.
How many beta users do you have? How many people using it right now?
We have 25, and again, it's all testing the sensors. Today we're launching it. It's in the App Store. Go ahead and download it. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Reshma.
I'm trying to kind of get my head around your target market. So are you going after kids mostly? And so two questions, sort of your target market and engagement. Is it, because with casual games, I mean, you can play them, 50 times a day or 10 times a day, just wasting sort of bits of time. This requires a fair bit of planning and thought. And so, what do you expect usage of this? Is it a weekly thing, monthly thing?
Sure. So to answer your first question, target demographic, 15 to 25-year-old, mostly male for Street Dash.
Jobless people?
Excuse me?
Jobless people? Or?
Not necessarily. I mean, people do walk around outside on a regular basis, so why not try to use the app for that purpose? Now, as far as engagement, when the folks use the app, they use it for a very long time. Again, when you're doing a dash in a regular world, that could take 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 minutes at a time. So the engagement is high when the people are using it, and then I'll be able to give you better stats and so on in 3 to 6 months once we have more users and we're able to really dive into that.
Frequency more than the engagement, maybe.
Into the microphone, please.
Frequency, is it a once a week thing or once a month thing or what?
No, I see this happening multiple times a week. It just depends on your lifestyle.
Jessica.
I guess the first question I would have, since you say a part of your target demographic is the teen male one, a lot of the kind of psych and behavioral studies around there, they tend to, if they're playing video games, obviously they're interacting with each other and playing against each other. If they're outside, they're together outside, at which point do you need to map a dash to be able to dash with your friends, I guess?
Yeah, it's not really about the map as much as it is about the technology being able to trigger events as you move around in your environment. And I think that's really where the big value add is. And we're just using Street Dash really as a wedge to really get people to get their head around what we're able to do with this platform that we've developed, and therefore be able to build a variety of different games targeting different demographics or to be able to license it to other folks.
I think what my suggestion would be is that you actually really have two groups within the demographic that you cited, and say the teenager male behavior and the young 20s is going to be slightly different because of income, because of job, what you mentioned, and the frequency issue. So I think it's actually worth really focusing on one of those as at least a starting point, because I think how you do it, how you deal with the competitive aspects, and how you get people to be playing off of each other's content and so forth will really map to which demographic you're targeting.
Yeah, that's really good advice.
Any other thoughts?
If I could make one comment about this, I see it complicated, okay? I see it difficult. So use the time that you have right now to put the application in front of people and listen to what they're going to say to you about it. The principal aspect here is going to be, how to get people to really adopt it and start playing with it and generate dashers. So I would listen a lot to them, and also I would try to do one thing, that is to get to certain partnerships, so that you get to specific events, and those events are triggering activity around them. I like the slide with the Olympics, and that can be a very good opportunity to try to do things here in London.
Yep, that's why we're here.
Well, I have a question, which is, you mentioned sports brands as a potential, presumably, income, but what is your business model? I mean, how does this make money?
We actually see virtual goods as being a little bit better at this point as we try to scale. Typically, sponsorships work better at scale because then you have users that you can actually deliver to the brand. So we see the sponsorship model working a little bit later down the line.
Any other questions?
Just, your team's really impressive. I mean, how did you kind of come out as this being a problem, or this being something you guys wanted to put all your collective brains into? And did you think of anything else to kind of work on from a gaming aspect?
Well, first of all, we're not a game studio. We're a platform company. And generally, to make platforms cool, you want to have really interesting applications. And that's why we've developed Street Dash as a game, so that we can really show what we can do with sensors and being able to trigger events as you move around in your environment, augmented reality and all that. So that's what we started there, but we see a lot of applications for it in many other areas.
I have another question. So you gave the example of San Francisco, I think, in your demo.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that it would automatically produce dashes if there were none. Is that correct?
Yes.
So in that part of San Francisco, if you go, as I live there, if you go too far to the west from that point,
Right.
it's not so
You don't
safe.
want to be walking through
No.
that area.
So how do you deal with the fact that just randomly plotting places may not be a safe place to dash?
Yeah, so that's good advice. I mean, right now we're kind of leaving it to the user to use as their best, best judgment. And of course, a lot of the dashes we're giving to the user right now are the closest ones to them, so that there's not a lot of friction, is what you meant. But as our technology becomes more sophisticated, we'll be able to plot and say, hey, these are really cool locations, and this is a good route to be able to take. And we have that technology now. We're just trying to keep it really simple so that we can use the game as it is to learn behavioral mechanics as we move forward.
I'm wondering whether you could use some of the open source crime maps and sort of, there is that data available to sort of use that to sort of influence away from those areas, your dashes.
Yeah, definitely.
I probably shouldn't be giving product development
No,
help, but
we're
I just
actually-
thought about that. That would be really
We're working on that right
interesting.
now. We're working on that right now.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all our time for. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. That was Explorence.